Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to journey into this really fascinating system, one that's designed to do something pretty incredible, make the invisible world of our own creativity, well, visible. It's called the orbit clock.
Just think about this for a second. You know that feeling, right? When you're totally in the zone, or the opposite, when you hit a massive creative wall. But what if those weren't just feelings? What if you could literally look at a screen and see the rhythm, the pulse of your own imagination? That's the big question we're diving into here. I mean, for most of us, our creative life is kind of scattered all over our computers, isn't it? You've got folders stuffed with audio files, random documents, pictures, video clips. It's this whole digital ecosystem, but let's be honest, it's usually a chaotic jumble. It's almost impossible to see the patterns or the connections, let alone the energy that's flowing through it all. So how do you even begin to bring order to that chaos? Well, the very first step in this whole orbit clock system is this foundational tool. Think of it like a silent observer for your creative world. And this is it, the Creative Diary. It's basically a simple desktop app that you just point to your creative folders. And then it just watches. It's not intrusive at all. It just hums along quietly in the background, logging every single file edit, how long your sessions are, every picture, every piece of audio you touch. And the magic is it takes all that raw, chaotic activity and turns it into clean, structured, measurable data. Okay, but data is just data, right? Numbers on a screen. The next step is where this thing gets really interesting. It's all about giving that data a life of its own, giving it a pulse. And that all happens through this concept they call motion. It's a cool portmanteau, a mashup of motion and ocean. You can think of it as the kinetic engine that's right at the heart of this system. Motion is the bridge. It's what takes all that practical, real-world data from your diary and translates it into pure visible energy. Okay, so here's how it actually works. It's a pretty straightforward process. First, you do something creative. You edit a photo, you write a paragraph, whatever. Step 2, the creative diary logs that action. Then, step 3, the emotion engine converts that little data point into a burst of kinetic energy. And finally, the visual system, the orbit, it just comes alive. The more active you are, the faster all these particles start to move, the brighter they glow. Your workflow, it literally becomes this living, breathing visualization. Now, what's really cool is that this movement, it isn't just random. It's a language. The whole system creates this kind of symbolic mirror. And it does that by mapping the very structure of the application to different parts of our own creative process. And this is where the metaphor gets really, really deep. The system actually maps the application's own code files to our creative process. So for example, the main file that defines the app's identity, that's treated as your genetic code, your core intention. The file that builds the visual structure, that's the skeleton of your thoughts. And the CSS file, the one that controls the look and feel, that represents your energy fields, your emotions. It's this profound idea that even our digital tools can be a mirror for our inner world. Okay, this brings us to what is maybe the deepest layer of the entire system. So far, we've talked about what's being watched, right? Your creative files. But who or what is doing the watching? You know, it's a question that really takes us out of just data tracking and straight into philosophy. I mean, if all this creative energy is its own little universe, then who is the consciousness observing it all? And the answer to that is what makes the orbit clock truly, truly unique.
So the whole system was inspired by that famous Nikola Tesla quote about finding the secrets of the universe through energy, frequency, and vibration. But the creators added a crucial fourth element to complete the loop: form. In this fourth principle is what the system calls the fourth subject, or the observer. It represents you. It's the conscious mind, the psyche, watching this whole creative process unfold. And this is the critical piece that grounds all of that abstract energy. It's what turns the system from just a cool data visualizer into a genuine mirror for self-awareness. So how does this observer show up visually? It appears as the aura. The aura is this dynamic halo that surrounds the entire system, and it's basically the visual language of your own awareness. It'll shift in color, it pulses, it glows brighter or dimmer based on your focus, maybe even your emotional tone. In essence, it's the part of the system that actually represents you watching it. Okay, so when you bring all of these layers together, you've got the data, the motion, the deep symbolism, and you, the observer. What you end up with isn't just a visualizer. It's something more.
It's an entirely new kind of instrument. And this comparison here really gets to the absolute heart of the vision. Think about it. A traditional clock, what does it do? It makes an invisible dimension, time, visible and understandable to all of us. The OrbitClock is trying to do the exact same thing for another invisible dimension, our own creative energy. Its language isn't mechanical, with hands and digits. It's symbolic, with color and rhythm and glow. You don't just read it, you feel it. So ultimately, the grand ambition here is to create a brand new, universal visual language for human energy, one that's as intuitive as telling time. Imagine being able to see your inner rhythms of focus and flow and inspiration, just as clearly as you see the hours passing on a clock. It's all about turning raw data into deep insight. And all of this leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. If you could actually see your own creative universe, if you had this window where you could watch your ideas orbit, see your focus glow, and feel your energy flow, what would it tell you? What secrets about yourself and about your own unique process would you finally begin to understand?